It's Wayne Dixon here for CG Cookie. Welcome to this live stream. It's the first one that we've done in many, many years because the internet in the country that I am from, Australia, is one of the crappiest in the world. But they've just rolled out the NBN in my area, so I am able to connect to you guys. So I just want to check, is everyone can hear me okay? Oh yeah, I was watching the chat and you guys were saying, what t-shirt is Wayne going to wear? I am wearing a black t-shirt, but it's actually cold today, so I'm wearing a jumper over the top of my t-shirt. Sorry about that. I know you guys really like, what t-shirt's Wayne going to wear? I'm not wearing one. Well, I am, although if I wasn't wearing one, it's a little bit nude. It'd be a bit of a worry if I did it nude. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, we are doing some live critiques of some animation. Hello to everyone who's joining us now from around the world. I want to focus on the people who are here first and the ones who are where it's in the middle of the night. So I know that Spikey is here. Spikey, can we just have a round of applause for how awesome Spikey is? Spikey, you are a champion. It is people like Spikey who's always on the chat and on the forums and stuff, trying to help other people. We just love those members. We absolutely love those members. So I want to start with Spikey, but I want to give him some props because he's a bloody champion. That's what we say in our country. He's a bloody champion. I think he's from Germany, so they'll probably say "Dus bin gut bloken." Or I'm really good at languages. All right, so let me change over. I'm going to make lots of mistakes today, so hopefully you guys are going to just bear with me. It's been years since I've done this, so I'll do my best. So let's go to turn this off. We're already started. See, I told you, my first mistake. So yeah, we're going to start with Spikey. If anyone has any questions, I know that you can use this tag in the thing and it'll pop up blue. So that's a square brackets, put a Q around it, and that will pop up blue. I'll try and keep one eye on the chat, although it's down there for where you're seeing, but it's over there in my real world. So let's get Spikey up here. Spikey's here. He better be here. Okay, so what I've done, hopefully, what I want to do is show you his little thing. Let's just see if the audio plays. So let's just have a look at his little video here. Oh. Merry Christmas. Also, yeah, York is in the middle of the night, so I'll make sure I speak. I'll critique yours too as well. So well done. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully you guys knew that it was Christmas already last year. You guys didn't miss it. Yeah, well done to Spikey here. I love it when people do their own thing. Like they just I want to make something, and then they just go ahead and make it. So this little animation, it's got a lot of charm, Spikey. I like it because it's got that that I want to make things, and I do love it. Let's bring up. I've got Blender here to do some critiquing. It's quite a long piece, and what I want to do is just kind of focus on one thing, right? So when you're learning, I think it's great to put a whole thing together. Like this is the whole entire animation that I want to make. But when you're trying to improve, if you're trying to improve everything at once, you're not going to get very far, or your progress is going to be incremental. It's going to be really, really slow. So what I want to do is just focus on one kind of area, which would be just the start bit with the swan. So that's what I would focus on. Oh, my computer's saying you need to restart. No, remind me tomorrow. So let's get out our grease pencil here. So with the swan, I'm just looking at a couple of the weird little flickers here, and I would just try and make that smooth. So I don't actually know how you've animated this and put it together, but I would say you may have used the NLA editor. Is that right? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let me know. Just write NLA yes or no. When you do character animation with Blender, it's really difficult to use the NLA. In fact, we tried to do a tutorial about it a few months ago, and we just couldn't find a good use for it. So we abandoned the the NLA tutorial. So it looks like here, wink, what's going on here? Our duck, I keep calling it a duck, but you know what I mean. It's a swan. I'm a beautiful swan. He is jumping backwards here and then forward. So where was that? That was around frame 239. So let's try and bring up our draw mode here. So what's going on? There's our duck, and then he goes backwards, or he stops and then goes forwards. So I would look at that and go, okay, how is that? Oh, no NLA. Good, you're doing it right. So just have a look around the animation curves around 245, and just try and figure out, hey, what's wrong with that with my animation? It's probably a keyframing issue where you've got some keyframes doing stuff that you didn't want it to do, and then also with the little walk out, we've got the little walk out here. Now there's some body mechanic stuff that are not happening here. So what I would do is I would actually get some reference of a duck walking or a swan. I keep saying, let's just say that in Germany, if you speak Dutch, that is the German word for swan. Okay, so every time I say duck, I'm actually being correct. What movie? Black Swan. No, it's a white swan. It's a white duck. It's a white duck. So what I would do, get some video of a duck walking, and what I would focus on is the way that it waddles its feet. Right, so it tries to put its weight over the leg that is planted, and it turns its body. So it goes. If you watch ducks and you watch swans walk, they're hilarious. So actually, if you can go out and film a live one, you'll have a great afternoon. So that's what I notice here with our walk here. And also, when we're doing body mechanics, it's the order in which things need to happen. So I can see that this foot is planted on frame, 464, and then this foot lifts up on 465. See? So there's no actual transfer of this body weight. So when the foot gets planted, the weight has to go across before the other foot can lift off. So that will all happen with the twist of the body. Right, so look at the way that the transferring of the weight. Actually, this is a bit dark. Let me see if I can raise up. This might be just off. You can't see what I'm doing. But let's go to my edit mode for my camera. Select my camera, and I'm trying to make it more visible. So let's go to object mode. Aha. There we go. So now you should be able to see a little bit better. Just had the opacity down to 50%. All right, let's jump back to my stroke and do some drawings. Draw mode. Yeah, so the thing is, when the foot's planted, then the body mass, all right, this thing here needs to come over to that side before the foot can lift off. And also, as it's lifting off, leave the toe, right, and raise the heel. So that way, try and get it on camera. Let's try and go down there. So it is like peeling off the ground like that, rather than, a lot of beginner animators, they do walk cycles of anything like ducks, swans, giraffes, unicorns, humans, everybody who does a walk cycle, the foot will just, like if that's my leg, it would just lift off like that. And to me, that says beginner, you know. But if you roll onto the toe, and the webbed feet are really, really bendy, so you'll just, if you do that and then roll off, it's going to look like 10,000 times better. Don't quote me on my maths there, but it's going to look a lot better. So that's what I would focus on. It looks like you've rigged and animated this yourself. So I would also have a look at the head. Where's my pen? I would have a look at the head and try and keep that in IK to the world. So when he's walking and he's waddling around, you don't want the head to move with the body, right? You want the head to kind of stay still. So he's going to be doing walk. Actually, I'm going to make these bigger. You guys need to see this. I can't believe I'm doing this on a stream. So he's walking, his head's going to stay straight, but his foot gets planted, his body weight comes off over that foot, it rolls off and then plants down to the other side. So hopefully that has made it a little bit clearer to see what I'm talking about. Swans even put their toes on the floor first. Oh, so it sounds like you've actually looked at some reference of a swan walking. Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, maybe, yeah, so the weight here, why did it jump there? So each of these steps feels weightless. And even if you're watching the body, so let's go from this frame here, right? I'm just going to mark the center of the body on this frame, right? This is our extreme. So if you think about it in 3D space, that's where it's going over to the right, even though I'm leaning left in the camera there, and it's changing direction. But have a look at how sharp that is. So let's go here. That's our frame there, and see how it jumps. So if you look at that, I'm just going to draw it here. The path looks like that. You've got a sharp bit there, but you actually want the weight transfer in that corner to be rounded. All right, so that's how you, funny video of a swan walking on ice. So now, good on you, Kent. So now everyone's going to be watching like swans falling over instead of this guy's ugly mug. Cool. So that's what I would focus on for this one. And also, I mentioned the head. So when he's swimming here, just turn his head to where he's going first, you know. So you want to anticipate where he's going to look, and that tells the audience what's going to happen next. Most of the time you do want to show the audience what's going to happen next. Sometimes you don't, but you know, for a little bit of surprise and stuff like that. But just go with it's most often you want to show what's going to happen next. Yeah, cool. So that's the notes that I have for you. Hopefully it helps you out, but keep doing what you're doing, Spikey, because having you on the site is definitely it's really valuable to not only the people who you're giving advice to, but everyone else who comes along and sees your advice. It's really heartwarming to see you help everyone out. And to everyone else, what Spikey is doing then, he's trying to answer everyone's questions, right? And that's actually how you get really good at Blender. Because I remember when I was trying to learn, I would jump on the Blender Artists forum. Back then it was called Elysian. But I would see someone would have a question, and then I would be like, right, how do I help them and figure it out? So I figured out what their problem was, and then I tried to help them, which made me feel good for two reasons. Well, one, I helped a person, so that's very altruistic, but also I added to my skill set, and I started to understand Blender a little bit more. So that was back when I was kind of a generalist. Now I kind of focus on rigging and animation is what I do. But if you really want to get good at Blender, help other people with their problems. So well done, Spikey. You're an inspiration to us all. Yay! All right. So York is also in the middle of the night. So let's get your. Actually, let me save this. Spikey Crit. I don't know whether you want to keep these little scribbles, but maybe it'll make sense to you. But let's get. Yorkers is in the middle of the night. Oh, okay. For this one, I haven't already done a I just show you what I'm doing so you guys don't go, what is Wayne doing? York just posted his tonight, so I'm going to paste this here. I'm going to rename it York QUE. Then I'm going to open it in Blender. Open. I'm going to jump to the clip editor. I'm going to delete all the clips that are there, and then I'm going to drag in. So I'm just dragging in this one here. Pachow, isn't that good? So my clip is 200 frames long, so I'm going to change my end frame to be 201. Why did I add an extra frame? Because we're starting at 1, and if it's 200 frames long, 1 plus 200 equals 201. You can quote me on my maths there. That is 100% correct. So let's jump back here. This is going to say, what are you doing? This is broken. So I'm selected my camera, and I'm going to change it to be an active clip. Let's choose this stomp kick, and there we go. Let's also change it to be 1. So now I can jump over into my stroke. Now York is here. I use a Hackintosh. Don't tell anyone that. So basically I got all the parts and I built the computer myself, and then installed Mac on it. Yeah, it's not easy, but it works great. And it's a Macintosh. It's a super beefy Macintosh for like 1/3 of the price. But I do not recommend it to anyone who is trying to build their own Hackintosh. It's quite difficult. All right, so York is here. I gave him some notes yesterday. Let's see. I haven't watched this yet. Let's see if we can play this animation. Oh yeah, it's a lot smoother. All right, so yeah, it's better. Now York actually went and he did his own video reference for this, and that's what you need to do if you want to get better at animation. You got to watch and study your own video reference. So let's have a look at this in closer detail. Let's go into draw mode. What am I going to draw with? I'm going to draw. I don't want to draw with red. I'm going to stick with black. My black pen. So just scrubbing here. This is the spline version for York. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm getting it wrong and it's like Yark or something like that. So here we go. I'm looking here. When we're pushing off, everything in animation is about the illusion of weight, right? Because he's not a real character. I just got distracted by the chat then. It's not a real character. We have to bestow all the attributes of real life onto the character, although we can tweak it to make it more cartoony or more believable or better than real life is a better way of saying that. So here, what we need to do is sell the fact that he's pushing off. So at the moment I can see the knee kind of popping a little bit there. So I would look at the knee spacing and see if I can even that out. How would I do that? I'd look at the heel control, and I would see whether we can go higher a little bit sooner, or maybe lower and then higher or whatever. Just adjust that, because the more you raise the heel, it actually affects the knee. But the big issue here is I think you need to go up onto the toe just slightly on this frame. So let's get a little bit smaller. So just raise it up a little bit there before he lifts off. And that will that'll give a little bit more illusion of weight, and he's actually peeling off the ground there. So, and the same deal here. Remember how we saw Spikey's foot come down, and there was no feeling of weight? You should plant the toe first. So get the toe down, and then get the rest of the foot. So toe, flatten out the toe, and then the heel comes down. So there we go. And that'll also, yeah, you have to have a look at that knee control there. So probably I would rotate that foot pivot up, the toe pivot, sorry, just to get a little bit off the ground, and you'll take care of that pop there. Let's go a little bit further down. Is that a pop in the knee? Can you guys you guys can probably hear the Slack chat going on. Sorry about that. It's one of the projects I'm working on, and they're chatting about it. Not during the middle of my stream. And I have to have it on because I'm also chatting to Kent, who, I don't know if you guys know, Kent's a bloody champion as well. God, we love Kent. All praise Kent. Again, here, we're looking at the toe. So plant the toe first, York. And that'll really sell the weight. And also, look at this foot lifting off, right? It's just lifting off. So make sure you peel that off. Even just a subtle amount to get it onto the toe to push off is going to make it a lot more believable. All right, so let's have a look here. I'm going to play our animation. Yeah, also the knee. Let's get rid of that guy. He's in our way. He's in our way. So knee pop here. So what you can do, just raise the heel a little bit, and that'll shoot the knee forward. Knee pops are a massive... they're not a massive problem. Well, they are a massive problem. They're really difficult to get a handle on, but once you could see them, you see them everywhere and you notice them and you're like, they become super problematic for you. And then that's at a certain level of your learning. And then you get past that and you start to get a handle and a grip on how to control them. And then they don't become a problem anymore. So you've got to just bear through that period where it becomes really, really difficult to deal with a knee pop, because it does get easier on the other side once you break through. So that's the knee pop there. Let's have a look. I think here, as he's going back, doing his weight, so we're about 87. I think here is a bit, where are we? So we're from about 81 to 89. I just put that there. We've got the foot. See how the foot's raising up? Let me just delete that key so you can see it. Let me delete this one. Just watch the foot there. I'll zoom in for everyone so they can see. This is the stuff when you're polishing. So this is the stuff that you look for. You're like, what is it? Why does my character feel weightless? And it is, in this instance, it is because the foot is kind of sliding. It doesn't feel weighted to the ground. So get that heel down before get the heel down and leave it there. So leave it like there and don't raise up. I'd have to look at the curves, your animation curves, to see whether you're accidentally translating up or whether you're penetrating through the ground or what's going on there. But just have a look around. What is that? Around the 80, 90 mark. Let's zoom back out again. Okay. And this here, it feels a little bit... I'm going to say the word feels a lot today because, I don't know, it's a weird way of explaining it, but yeah, animation is about seeing, but when we're seeing, we're also feeling the motion. So sometimes I'll say stuff like it feels a bit fast, or it feels a bit slow or floaty or whatever like that. So just, yeah, it means something, but you have to kind of look past the literal meaning of like, hey, how does he feel animation? Of course, I feel animation. Runs through my veins. Okay, so I lost my train of thought, but yeah. Here, the weight is moving forward, which is good, but it's too far forward. So if he's dropping forward like that, he needs to start pushing sooner. So I feel like it's just taking a little bit too long to get started around here. So around the 180 mark, 108 mark, he needs to start moving forward more. Otherwise, he's going to fall over, you know. Well, then, there's a silly drawing for you. All right. Here is another example of toe. So roll onto that heel, sir. Roll onto that heel. Get the heel to do that. and that'll sell the push. Now this one here, I did see your reference, so you were doing a little bit of a hop before you were jumping, but it's too high. So I would say, see how you've got this guy here, and we're going from here. So this is our path. I would try and bring it down half that height of the circle, I mean, and then you can also, I would look at the spacing on this land, right? So each body part we need to pay attention to, exactly like the bouncing ball. So we know when our bouncing ball does the spacing, here is the top, here is the bottom, and the spacing gets closer at the top. So our vertical spacing on the way down is always bigger. Let's have a look at the spacing on our foot here. So let's have a look from here to here. That is slow, right? So we want it to slow down. So what I think you can do is probably get rid of this frame. Now, when I say get rid of the frame, I mean tweak your timing, right? So keep our extreme pose up here, although shift it down, and keep our contact pose here, which is also a key pose. So keep this guy here, but just reduce the timing in between that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames, too many. So try taking off 1 frame, but so shift everything forward. Now everyone knows I speak about this a lot. When you're shifting keys in the animation editor, any of the animation editors, just use the E key, right? So then you can shift anything. If your mouse is on this side, hit E, and you're shifting all the keys on that side. If your mouse is on that side, you're shifting all the keys on that side. And you don't need to deselect and select everything. It's really good. It's much better than scaling them. If you scale them, you're going to select everything. So that's what I mean. So imagine that this is your keyframes of your character. I would just remove it, remove 1 frame from that, right? But you can't just do that. Then you have to go in and adjust your curves to make sure that your graph editor is still looking like this. And so really, I say get rid of this frame here, where it's really slow and close to the ground. But what I mean is remove 1 frame and then adjust the spacing so it makes sense. Yeah, hopefully that made sense. Probably didn't. Omar has asked a question. I'll just scroll down and see if I missed any questions. No. Okay, so Omar's got a question. When you do animation on your own, do you rewatch it and do the same steps to catch anything that might be off? Yes. Yeah. So when you're, it depends on how much time that you have for any animation that you do, whether it's personal learning or whether it's a professional job. It's always a good idea to leave some time between when you're finished and also when you submit it, so to speak, because when you look at something over and over and over and over, you become blind to sometimes the most obvious things. So then just by taking a little bit of a break and coming back to it, you got fresh eyes and you can go, oh yeah, the spacing on that foot, why didn't I notice that it was so soft on the ground there, or slowing down before it hit the ground? And that's when you pick up those things and just polish it and make it a little bit better. So yeah, so watch it, rewatch it as much as, not as much as you can. Don't go crazy watching it, but yeah, it's important to watch your own work over and over, but leave some, I think I'm saying the same thing twice. You know what I mean? So leave some space so you can get a fresh perspective on it. Okay, we're nearly done with this one. He's cheating the leg there, which is okay. You know what? I think same deal here. I like this pose. I think you can get rid of 1 frame in the kick. So he's speeding up, right? Let's have a look at our foot spacing here. Here is our foot. And here is our foot. Here is our foot. So we are speeding up. Here is our foot. And here is our foot. So if we look at that, our spacing's going 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, it's 4, 5. So there's 5 frames. Have I done it right? 1, 2, 3. This is not quite in the right spot. So that one should be like that. So we are speeding up and then we're getting even. I reckon you can leave this one and then either combine these 2 frames or just remove one of them. So maybe if you're gonna remove one frame, and remember what I said about removing a frame, it's adjusting the, reducing the timing and then adjusting the spacing. I would remove this one because that's this frame here. Really bad drawing, Wayne. Because you're then accelerating from this point all the way to this point. It's going to get you a bigger kick. And also on the other side, so here, maybe remove that one and go, or actually maybe combine them. So if I say something like split the difference, so here is the ankle on the frame before, here is the ankle on the frame after. When I say split the difference, what you can do is combine those two frames so that you remove one of the frames, but then the new position is kind of in the middle, split the difference. So that way the kick's going to feel a little bit more forceful, but then that also might change your body mechanics here. Okay, body mechanics here. I think, watch what's happening with the foot here on 141. All right, I'm going to scrub forward so you guys can see. Bang. Do you feel that? Just stops. Bang. It wants to keep going. It wants to keep going, but it can't. So how do we fix that? Well, on frame 142, we just roll up a little bit onto our toe. And then we're continuing that that motion forward, and also like we're thinking about this ankle movement as a bouncing ball. Everything is a bouncing ball. I think I'm going to say that 12,000 times, right? So we're thinking about that as moving up and then coming back down like that, right? So that's here, swooping around and then coming down. So maybe not like so extreme, but yeah, we want everything to be nice and smooth and follow through. So that's one thing that I would do there. I think you got a bit of a knee issue. Oh no, that's okay. Oh no, there it is. Okay, bang, 149. Look at this knee joint there. Pop, pop, pow, knee pop. That's also how you say knee. You say knee, knee pop. Loses the weight here. Again, spacing on the foot. See how the foot is arriving in even spacing? What I would try and do is slow into that. So it's not going da, 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 da. It's going da. I would maybe even get it closer like this. But this frame here, you're landing on the toe. And then you also, the next frame after, you're in the same spot, but the toe is rolled down. Hopefully that little squiggle makes sense. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. All right, I better get a move on so I can get through some of these other critiques. Yeah, also, when we get to the end here, I'd like to see this weight. I like how you're coming down, but overshoot. So making it go down and then come back up a little bit. So in your curve in the graph editor, the Z location, or the up and down, the Z location, will look, it's coming down like this, and it'll go a little bit like that. So you just want to overshoot, maybe overshoot, I'm not sure, and then come to a rest. And that'll give it a nice little bit of polish on the end there. So there we go. Hopefully that helps you out, York. I will save that in case you want me to distribute it to you later. There's another question from Omar. Is there any other animation tool you've seen other than in any other software that is so good you wonder why in God's name it is not in Blender? The animation tools. I'm actually quite fond of the animation tools in Blender. I think they're quite good, and I'm excited by the Animation 2020, which is the Blender Foundations project that's happening in, I'm not sure what year it's happening in. I better look that up. I'm kidding. 2020. It's in the name, Wayne. It's in the name. I was just trying to mess with you. So they're going to be improving all the animation tools. I think they're quite good. They're a lot better than, say, the Maya ones. The Maya dope sheet it's hopeless. Like you can't do any of this stuff that I was showing you how to move the keyframes around. There is the Animbot. Yes, I'm glad Phil posted that. The Animbot looks great. There is, I know, what's his name? Qualism was working on some curve editor things that kind of does some fancy, let's smooth out these curves in different ways. And then there is the Animade thing. Maybe I can look that up, or actually we'll look it up later. Animade is an add-on which does the same thing. It's actually like Qualism's, who's a member of CG Cookie, by the way. What a champion. It's like his little script thing that he was running, but it's kind of like that on steroids. So someone's kind of developing it more, and it's just a way of like tweaking the curves to just taking more control of the curves. So that'd be nice in there. But it's funny when you learn a certain way and you come into learning a software in a certain era, then that's the way that you're always going to do it. It becomes harder to actually learn the new ways because it takes a long time to actually learn the new ways. And this way works, so why do I need to change my way of working? So that's why it's good for when the younger people come in and start learning, because they've got access to all these tools that us old folk will never get a grip on. All right, so time to move on. I've done 2 in half an hour. Holy Wayne, you're taking too long. All right, so who is anyone else here who is after a critique? I know Phil's here. Phil's a champion as well. I love Phil. Omar's here. Let's do Omar. Omar. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Omar's video. I was only able to get the 360 version, or the really, really small one of yours, Omar. So let me play. Omar, you are one of those people who you're at this level, right? And you think that you're at this level. You're not, man. You just got to believe in yourself. I believe in you. Yeah, you're great. My biggest crit about this show reel is how do people contact you? Like if someone emails this to someone, oh, hey, check out this dude. It's like you need a link on there to your website, or you'll contact your email or something like that. So I would put that on there. Now I'm a character animator, so I can't critique much about the models and stuff that you've done, like the modeling and texturing stuff. To me, it looks great. My favorite bits, actually, did I do? Yeah, I set this up already. Have I saved opening Omar? Yes, open. I should have saved this at 1. So, my favorite bit is all this tiny animation stuff that I can notice that's good. Or when the car stops, is it here? This bit here. That bit there. I noticed that, man. I noticed that bit. It can it just raises up, rather than like overshooting. So in the graph editor, just like I did before, let's jump here and let's jump to draw mode. So are we in draw mode? No, I'm in sculpt mode. Can't sculpt what isn't there. So I'm watching the front of the car. What's a good way of drawing this? So here is our front of the car. That's not easy to see. So I'm going to choose green. All right. Here is the front of the car. Let's just draw. And you see it pop up here. That was some bad drawings, Wayne. Kind of covering what I wanted to show. So I think you know what I mean, but that popping up, make sure that you go past where it's going to go. So in the graph editor, this is your extreme, go past it, and then go, here is the level that you want to be at, come back, and then do a little bit. And these are micro, so this one here and this one here, these are micro movements, right? Just get that tiny little bit in there. Yeah, this is great. I love this model. I want to animate it. It looks really cool. The bit that I think is the weakest, and I think it's just the camera angle. Let me delete that. Get out of my way. Is here. It looks like the it doesn't look like it's racing around the track. It looks like it's sliding, and if it is sliding, maybe skid out the back a little bit, you know, so it kind of looks like it's sliding around. Yeah, get some wheel action in there. We want to see, and maybe even some smoke. I don't know how to do smoke, but with all that stuff, I go, Ken, can you add smoke to this? And Ken's like, yeah, man, it'll take me 2 seconds. Whereas if I was looking into it, it'd take me like 28 days to figure that out. I don't know why I was counting on my hands then. Yeah, this model is great. Yeah, I think Miranda actually gave you some notes or sent you to a video from the flipped normals one. So maybe they had some really great stuff, some advice in their video on like how to present a video show reel like this. But yeah, I want to animate this. See how this bounces? I'd make that even more bouncy. And when we're zooming in here, right, I would make the car do stuff like it's trying to, like, it's about to skid off. Like he's like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the starter's pistol. They don't even have starter's pistols in races. What is it? The lights. You know what I mean? He's waiting for the lights to change. You know, just a little bit of movement in that. But if I'm looking for, it depends on what your reel is for, right? If I'm looking for someone, and occasionally I do need someone to model or texture or light, you need to show on your reel that that's what you do. So most of the time I'm actually just looking at still images. I go, oh, this guy's good. Like, and then I email him to go, hey, you available to work or whatever. So make sure that you get your stuff up on the Blender network has changed. So where is it? It's moved over to the Blender community. I haven't checked it out since it's moved there. But make sure that you get your stuff on there and have your contact details on there. But with this stuff, yeah, still images is great. Or even in this like video stuff, it's always nice to show, okay, what did you do? You did the lighting, you did the texturing, you did the modeling. So you can do the compositing passes of like where it fades over and goes, here's the wireframe, here's the texturing, and here's the lighting. Like, you don't need to, you can be creative about the way that you show that. So this is you're really supposed to focus on modeling. Yeah, so what I would do, I missed one of your questions. Will there be trouble with YouTube because of the music? Probably yes. It depends on the copyright owners because they just strip them off. I think most of the time YouTube will Wayne secretly has 28 fingers. I do. Everyone from Australia has 28 fingers. Isn't that normal? Yeah, so if your sound might get stripped off from YouTube. So most of the time, people aren't worried about that. Like, if you're watching it, you turn the sound down because it becomes really quite annoying. You're like, oh, what is that thing? So people, recruiters and whatever, are just turning the sound down. One other thing that I was going to say. Yeah, it depends. It also depends on what you want. So I think at the moment, you're working in an office where people don't appreciate. I mean, you had some like negative comments is not quite the right term, where someone's looked at your artwork on your desktop and said, hey, who's made that? and then you've gone, I did, and then they've seen the actual. Actually, I'm gonna talk straight to your heart, man. And then they've seen the what is it, the concept art, and they're going, well, that guy's made it. If this guy who's made that comment doesn't understand like what's involved, don't take any of that to heart. He's an idiot, right? Don't listen to idiots. It's always good to get advice from people who are outside the 3D industry, because sometimes they have some really great advice. Or they might put their finger on something and not know exactly what it is, but they might help you out. Like sometimes I show my wife, who's not an animator, I do some animation, and then she's like, oh, the eyebrows look a little bit weird. Or when she sees, like, you know, the CG Cookie flex rig, like she's like, why do all the men have boobs? And you're like, and once you see that, you can't unsee it. You're like, yeah, that model does have boobs on every character. So sometimes they do have some great advice, but in that case, it sounds like the dude who made that comment is just an idiot, right? Don't worry, just laugh at him and go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything, because it might be like when I had a real job, right? I say real job as in I worked somewhere that wasn't what I wanted to do. That wasn't my life. That wasn't where I wanted to work. That wasn't where I lived. And a lot of people worked there. I worked in a call center. If you stop your questions now, I worked in a call center, IT support, and there was a lot of people there who were just unhappy, right? But their life, that was their life. Like they were there, they're unhappy, and they're doing whatever. But if that's their fault, right? That's not your fault. If you're working there as a way to get money, and then you're having fun and you're doing some awesome artwork on your own time, just keep doing that, man. It doesn't matter if they're like trying to bring you down. They don't know how good you are. Like, okay, Omar, give me their address and I will figure out a way to go over there and smash them in the face. That's not true. I won't smash them, but yeah, don't worry about them. Dude, you're awesome. Keep it up. Make sure that you put your contact details on there. That's what I've got. Okay, major props to Kent for the reel. Yeah, and your reel was rendered by the community, the CG Cookie community. So if you helped out Omar, good on you. You're a bloody champion. Oh, Jake's here. Hey, Jake. Cool. Who did I say was next? Fur. So Chris has done a really cool... should I save this? I don't need to save this one for you, Omar. Sorry, I'm just going to copy over. Look at that, it's gone. You don't need my help. You need your help. Just believe in yourself. Okay, so where are we here? We're looking at Fur, also known as Chris. No problem, Omar, no problem. All right, so he's done an awesome... Actually, can I show the beauty render? I think it has sound. Does it have sound? Oh, no, it doesn't have sound. I'll just play that again. Play. And then we'll watch it in Blender and I'll do a little bit of draw overs. So this is his treasure chest animation. Boom. It's funny when I see stuff without sound effects, when I watch animation without sound effects, I have sound effects that play in my mind, and I know I'm not the only one that it happens to. I can't be the only one that happens to, especially if something is bouncing or a character is doing something in a rhythmic pattern. Like I hear the sound effects happen, like and this is just like when he pops open, it's like boom, boom, boom. All right, so let's critique this. I love that Kent and I made this treasure chest course, and Fur is doing exactly what we hoped people would do with it. They would learn from it and they would adapt it into their own thing. I love it. I love it to see people do that, make it their own. Like if you're one of those people who can only follow along with the tutorial, well, that's fine as well. But I'm going to create a challenge for you. It's like, I do this as well. Like if I'm following a tutorial or I need to learn something, I learn it at its most basic level. So I just follow the tutorial and I go, great, now I've made it. That's cool. I've made a lot of mistakes. I can focus on what I need to focus on and then adapt it into your own version. And that's where the real learning and challenge comes from. It's from when you're taking what you've learned and putting it into practice. And in this case, it's within the constraints of what he's already learned. And that's exactly what we want. So well done, Chris, on that. I might just, rather than focus on this version, I will jump to the other version, which has, so this one's just rendered out, excuse me, this one's rendered out in random colors, just so we can see the spacing a little bit more. So you giggle when Kirby popped out. Same here, I'm like, it's funny. So zooming in, oh, one thing that I was going to say about, so I'm jumping backwards a little bit, so my apologies for that. Chris was probably on the edge of his seat going, who was he going to say? Just with camera stuff, I've noticed it now because Chris is zooming in and he's done a great job with the camera. A lot of beginners just actually animate the camera itself, right? But it becomes, that's when, you need to focus on the spacing of the camera. So if we go back to, should I go back? Let's have a look at Omar's camera work, right? See how it's like, he's thought about it as not really as a character, but it's always moving and it's the spacing is nice and it's thought about. And then if we go to Spikey's, sorry, Spikey, I'm not trying to pick on you or anything, but it's maybe one extra thing that we can work on. If we're looking at the camera work, it's always very jerky from one place to the other, and that's when we also need to think about the spacing of the camera, especially rotations. So you don't just start and it becomes linear. You have to like slow and then move the camera. So start slow and speed up, and with every camera move that you do like that, it's going to make it look a lot better. So I know there's an easy way to do that. If you go to File, you go to your Preferences, go to your add-ons, and then type in Add Camera Rigs, you will see a handy camera rig, which creates a free camera for you to use. It's already shipping in Blender, so if you go ship a add camera, you've got 2 rigs here, right? And then you can actually animate our camera around, and then you're animating this rig. It makes it so much easier to get nicer camera movements. Now, the one that's shipping with Blender 2.8 and 2.81 is a slightly broken version. There is an up-to-date version on my GitHub. So if you go to GitHub Wayne Dixon, there we go. You'll see add camera rigs. This is the new 2.8 proper version. I've rewritten it to, there's a few issues that are in the one that's been adapted to 2.8 by automatic script. This one has been fixed. So you can just grab it there. Waylo, github.com, Waylo, add camera rigs, and that will install that add-on. Okay. Sorry, Chris. Let's go back to your critique. I'm going to look at the spacing here on your treasure chest. I'm going to zoom right in. Okay. So this is just a bouncing ball, right? We've got to think about the top of the chest as a bouncing ball. We've got to think about the bottom of the chest as a bouncing ball. So when we pop off, with this type of thing, sometimes we do want anticipation, and sometimes that we don't. So for a monster that's inside a chest, we probably don't want any anticipation. So that's when you would pop the spacing. So we're going from here. Let's just draw mode. That is way too big. I'm going to draw in red. Is my red? Okay, red. Red is the color that I choose. And we're going to zoom it down. So just looking at the bottom here, the spacing, pop, pop, pop. That's good spacing there. Nice slow out at the top, and then we're down again. So what you can do, what I would try and experiment with, is having less, bigger distance with less spacing. So just pop it further at the start. I would make sure that I'd save it and try this out just to give it, see if you can give it more like excitement popping out. And same with looking at the top spacing. I like that spacing. I like that you're not going straight up, you're twisting it to the side. Okay, here. Okay, here is an example of where we don't want to slow down our the top of our chest. So where am I? I'm at frame 99, right? Frame 99, looking at the top of the chest here. Then we go to here, and then we go here, right? So this means our spacing on our top is actually slowing down before we get airborne, right? So I would think about this as the whole character is stretching and jumping. So what I would do is probably get rid of frame 100 and go straight to frame 101 so that we jump into the air straight away. This is where I was talking about you want to accelerate and then pop off the ground. You don't want to decelerate the top before you get off the ground. Otherwise you've lost that momentum, if that makes sense, because you've got to think about it like a character trying to do a jump like this. So you don't go jump like that. You make it all part of the same movement. You didn't. I'll just try that again. Actually, maybe I'll go bigger. Oops. So we don't go up, pause, jump. We go all together. There we go. That was worth making a big screen. What an idiot, Wayne. So yeah, look at the top of your spacing there. Let's have a look here. You might be doing the same thing in other spots. No, that one's better. This one here, so we're at frame 112 now. Just draw the center of our chest here. Do we have... We are jumping to the screen left with no kind of pre-warning. So here, either you've got too many frames from 110, like slowing into this position here. Or, okay, I'm just thinking now. You see me thinking in real time. Okay, I'll try and explain what was sticking out to me. It was the fact that he's just jumping there. But maybe that's okay. Okay, ignore that. I'm okay with that one. This is a good one. This one here at 138. See that? You stretched and then you jumped. Perfect. Good job. That's some nice pop there. That bounce is great. Don't think I can't see that. I can see that. Yeah, you know what? I like that you're slowing down on some of them. When I mean slowing down, I'm looking at the top here, right? Spacing slowing down before you take off. I like it on some of them. So not making all of them the same, but on the big ones, make sure that you don't slow down. You're just popping off. So this one, pop, too many frames. I would get rid of this one here. So frame 170, remove. Well, that's meant to be an R, but I momentarily forgot how to spell. That's good. Love it. Okay, before we explode here, you can do a little bit of a stagger. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, here's your extreme, right? I'll try and draw our pose here. You can do a stagger on ones, maybe, where you go bigger. So I'm going to just edit mode this, and just try and select everything, and then put my cursor there, try and scale from my cursor. And then we do this jitter back and forward, right? So we're going to copy this, move it 2 frames forward, select them, duplicate, and the first frame is the same as the last frame, is that right? Or is this the frame? Okay, so what I've tried to do there is go before it opens. And so you do that on ones, but you stagger it. I'm not sure if you own the survival guide to the animated survival kit by the Richard Williams book, who sadly recently passed, but that has a great way. There's a cat doing a stagger, and that's the type of thing that you're going for. So if you're thinking about it in the curves, right, you want to animate it like, let's jump back to draw mode. Let's just say we want to animate getting, not existential, but I've forgotten the right word. This is our curve going up, our scaling bigger, right? We're looking at it like that, and then we're keying all the way along, and we're dragging every second one. So let's select it. Every second one, let's select this one, select this one, select this one, select this one, and drag them all down on the curve, just slightly, so that our new curve looks like that. And that's how you get your jitters happening before it goes. And you might even try before exploding big. So you're getting to your extreme there, and then just make sure that you have an anticipation. So go down, and then I would try going bursting open. This is the burst. Hopefully that makes sense. Yep, John Sanderson has put in the link to the book. If you can get the animated survival kit, it's a really good book, except don't take everything as gospel, especially the walk cycles. So Richard has like this massive book. I've got it in my little cupboard there, but there's like 7,000 walk cycles, and a lot of them aren't great. Like it doesn't work in 3D. Because he draws his passing position with the foot way too high. Whoops, that's a bad drawing, but let's just say that this is our foot and our knee. This is the passing position before it comes down. He's got it way too high off the ground, whereas in 3D we actually want to swing it through close to the ground as possible. But once you know those differences, like you can handle it. It's, if you're interested in 3D, if you're interested in animation, get the book. It's a must-have. It's like the Bible. Cool. So that is that. Now I do want to talk about these things being ejected. I think you've used which is fine on the way to do it. I think you've used the simulation, which is good, but you can try and bake the sim and then make it a little bit faster. So I'd like to see, you've got this really big, let's get rid of, just going to delete some keyframes now. Sorry, they're in my way. So let's go delete. Oh, does everyone know that? If you want to select everything that is to the right of the cursor, you can hit the square bracket. If you want to select everything from the left, you put the square bracket the other way. Or they have also reintroduced the old way of doing it, which was Control, Shift, and then right click. So that was the old way of doing it, which is how I do it, because you don't have to take your hand off from where it is. So yeah, did I delete them? Yeah, I think I deleted. The monkey mind, easy to be distracted. So let's insert a blank keyframe, which is now going to be Shift I. There we go. It used to be DX, really fast, but now it's Shift I. Okay, so we've got a blank keyframe there. I want to see these stars shoot out super fast, right? So we want the spacing to be nice and big here, and then nice and tight here, and then bigger here. But you've baked it, which is fine. So what we do, we bake it and then we can tweak our animation curves just to give it more force as it comes out. And also maybe even, so you can go into a slow motion at the top here and then go fast again. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the type of sound effects that I'm talking about. I hear when I watch these things. Like I hear that in my brain. So that's what I want to see with your thing here. And the last final little bit, this little dude is just a little bit of polish in these change of directions. So, whoops. Why did that do that? What's going on? Okay, so I like how, let's have a look here. He's going from here to here, good spacing, slowing down, that's good. But then we've gone back to here. Spend a little bit more time around this pose when you change direction. So what I mean when I say spend a little bit more time about it, that's your pose there. Stick a keyframe there, stick a keyframe there, so it changes direction more slowly, and then you can go fast again. Then when you're at the bottom, same thing, right? So here it just changes directions a little bit too fast. Yeah, so just have a look at each of those change of directions, and rather than it being, I'm going to exaggerate like that, these are a little bit sharp, just round them out a little bit. So this is your old, and let's make this one a different color. This is your new. That is a translation on that guy. Cool, hopefully that makes sense. There is a question. I missed a couple of questions. Sorry, Kent. Going down. Do you ever feel like you should learn modeling, texturing, etc., so you can handle a money of a freelance job? Omar, no. I focus on, it depends on what you want to be. If you are a generalist, then yeah, focus on, let's get bigger. Talking head. So if you want to be actually, I'll just save that. Fur. Oh, and before I get stuck in it, Wes was really loving this animation and he wanted to feature it. So if you can make some tweaks to it after seeing this, then go back and fix it, you're going to get featured. So we were talking about it this morning. So good work. Okay, Omar. Jake, the name of the book is The Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams. Let me get it for you, and then Omar, don't go anywhere. I got an answer for you. The Animator's Survival Kit. That is what it looks like, and it's got 1,000 different walk cycles and jumps and skips at it. It's really great for learning the poses, and then once you get a handle on how things work, you can adjust it and go, okay, I don't need that. I'm tweaking it to do a certain thing. So it's really great when you're starting out and you don't know how to do certain things. It's excellent. Okay, Omar. Oh, just banged my knee. Hope you're happy. If you want to get it, I don't bother learning texturing, modeling, lighting, or any of the things that I'm not good at, because it takes away time from what I am good at and what I enjoy, which is animation and rigging. If I get a freelance job where I need that done, I hire someone to do it for two reasons. One, because someone else can do it better than I can, and then I can also work on something else while they're working. It is a great feeling to know that you're asleep and somebody on the other side of the world is helping you complete your job, and you're not the only one who's working on it. But having said that, if you're going to manage other people on a freelance job, so if you're going to subcontract things out, you need to have a group of people that you can count on, because you got your number one person, he's not available or she's not available. Then you go to your second one and whatever. So you need to have a couple of people that you can go for in your network. And that way, you're not going to be stuck of like, oh yeah, we can do it, but it's going to take 2 weeks before we can start. However, if you are a generalist and you want to do everything, then that's okay. So you might want to learn rigging, and you might want to learn texturing, you might want to learn modeling, and you might want to learn animation. But just remember, the further you spread yourself, the thinner that you become. That was almost profound. I was just thinking of, what is that? Yeah, spread butter, bread and butter. That's what I was thinking of. So don't spread yourself too thin. Focus on the things that you want to be good at and want to focus on because they're fun. And don't be afraid to get other people involved in your project. It is a great feeling to be able to pay other people to do jobs to help you out. Spread the money, spread the love. It's a really good feeling. I actually like paying other people to make me look good. That's the way that I think about it. So when people hire me, I'm trying to make them look good. When I hire people, they're making me look good. So it's a pay it forward type of situation. So hopefully that answered your question, Omar. I think I didn't miss any other questions. Let's have a look at Omar's question. Does the extra person you hire gets paid by the client or does it come out of your paycheck? Yeah, you've got to charge for that. So you add it on. So you've got a certain amount of people that you can rely on and their day rate or how many hours. You can actually ask them, go, hey Kent, I need this modeled. How long is it going to take you? Different jobs will be different. So you can either work by the hour, you can work by the day, or you can work by the project. It depends on the scope of the project and how big it is. So if it's just a little job, just work by the hour. If it's a bigger job, work by the day. You go, okay, that's going to take me 2 days to do the animation, and then you have your day rate and you charge that. If someone else needs to get involved in that the thing, you add their day rate onto it. So it's like, okay, we've got to do modeling. That's going to be 3 days of modeling or 2 days of modeling, and then add that to the thing. So the client pays you, and then you pay them. But also make sure that you include the time it takes for you to manage that, because otherwise you're going to get stuck with a certain budget. It's happened to me quite recently. The budget's this much and the client wants more and more and more and more, and you end up having to pay other people to do those jobs, and your cut becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So yeah, I recently finished a job where the scope just blew way out, and I worked very, very hard to get not very much money, and it's not a very good feeling. So learn from my mistakes and charge people more. Yeah, so hopefully that answers that question. Sean's here. Sean, he uses Dvorak keyboard. Good on you, man. What a genius. Okay, so is there anybody else here who has submitted for review? People delegate the work down to the people at the bottom. That's right, man. Part of it is delegate. Yeah, so all right. I don't think we have anyone else who's here live. And we have, Tanya. I love Tanya. T is, here we go. I've got Tanya's. Let me bring it up here. So let me save her first so I don't accidentally delete it. Tanya is an example of pure joy. I love people. Actually, I got the wrong view up. So Tanya has worked so hard, and I love it. So this is the way that I work. I had a really great teacher when I was at animation school, and he said, he was like this. He goes, most people in life that you come across have an attitude where they will say, you prove something to me first, and then I will give you 100%. And my teacher was opposite to that. He goes, I will give everybody from the outset 100%. I will back them. I will give them 100% of my attention, even more. I will do that until you prove to me that you're not worthy of it. So his default position was everybody is worthy of 100%, and then until proven otherwise. Tanya is a great example of that, because she didn't start out great, but she has given it 100%, and I will give her 100%. So I don't care how many times that she submits something. She's given it a go. I'm giving it a go. We're going to get there in the end, and it's the reason why I do this. It's really, really great. So let's have a look at Tanya's animation. I didn't set up a file because I wasn't sure that she was going to be here, but she's got some really great things going on here. I love that walk. I love that walk. I love that walk. Let's watch it again. Pow. Look at him. Look at him. He's so cute. All right, so what I'm going to do is set this up so we can look and do some scribbles over it. Let's go file. I'm going to reopen this. Actually, I'm just working on the other screen. So let's go T. Okay, and now let's drag into our clip editor, delete. They're both deleted. Drag this in. 170. Jump back to our camera and choose our spline 2. And let's go Pachow. Okay, T. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up on a few of the comments. Great philosophy for teaching. True. Yeah, Ted T was the name of my teacher. If you ever get to learn from him, he's working in Canada at the moment. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, T just works so hard. I love her. I love her. Right, here we go. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to get my stroke out here. So she's come a long way from where she started. So this still feels... Oh, hang on. We're running at 30 frames per second when we should be running at 24. Yes, I can see the difference between 24 frames and 30 frames per second with my eyeballs. I cannot see the difference between 24 and 25 though. I'm not that good. All right, so let's play this. This looks better. All right, so it's a timing and spacing issue. You're getting a lot better at your body mechanics. But like before, so there's two things that I say two things, but then I will mention like 12 things. But the biggest thing that I see is the weight or the lack of weight in certain spots. So with body mechanics, we need to show, as I said earlier, we've got to fake it till you make it. We've got to fake all our body mechanics to sell what's happening. So here, we need to show the push. So what I would do, rather than go, I would start. Whereas he's pushing with his right foot and it's masked. Yeah, this feels really light. I can't give you an exact reason why, but I think it is the spacing from 9 to 10, right? So where am I? Am I in draw mode? Let's go to draw mode. Just going to draw a circle around our little dude here. So that's a little bit big. Let's go pencil, Wayne. Why aren't you using the pencil? And the pencil's like super big. Okay, let's go a little bit smaller. Okay, let's delete everything. So frame 9, I want you to watch the spacing on our little dude here. Pachow. That's the spacing pop. So if we can actually perhaps get him moving screen right before frame 9, that'd be good. So shift frame 9 a little bit closer to frame 10, and that'll help sell the push. Here, frame 21, your foot's on the ground, and then he's in the air. How did that happen? Right? That's where the illusion of weight is broken. It goes, the weight's on this foot, then it's gone. It's like dissipated. So they're the things that we need to look for. So you need to sell the fact that he's got all his weight on this foot and he's pushing off. So keep it stuck on the ground on 22. And straighten that leg out, right? So it's going to look a little bit like that, and that'll sell that push. Pachal. Have a look at the center of his head on these ups and downs, right? I'm just holding to the right. I think this one here, this is your extreme, right? So if I was to draw the Z location, this is the extreme. This is that position there. It's too sharp, right? We want it to be more rounded. So your graph editor, round out these corners here, right, to make it smoother down there. Okay, here, frame 33. What's happening with your foot? See this here? There's no weight there. We need to show that weight. All right, and the other thing is this pop down. Let's draw the path. Tell me which frame goes wrong. So if I was to draw that, it looks like that, right? So we want it to look more like, oh, actually that's a little bit too rounded. So let me just undo that. So we want it to be more like that, all right? So shift this guy back a little bit and then round it out. Pachow. Here is too fast. 69. Popping down here, right? So you probably need a frame before frame 70, one in the middle, right? And we want it to be slowing down. So when we're doing spacing, it's like, where are we fast and where are we slow? So this is our contact frame. We can tell because his toes on the ground. Excellent for that. Then he's coming down, but he's still decelerating. So we want his spacing to be kind of, if here are your three spacings of his ear, let's call it an ear. I'm not sure if it's right. You want it to be closer to this guy. So you want it to be here rather than here, because otherwise it's slowing down and then it's speeding up. If the spacing is like this, it is slowing down. So it's going from here to here to here. It's slowing down. So add an extra frame there. And then again, we're going round. So we're going straight rather than around. So this is going pacha. If we can round that out a little bit, so maybe, you know, shift this a little bit over screen right. Doesn't meant to be directly, I said screen right, and I drew an arrow down the wrong way. Let's go eraser. Let's go draw. So screen left. I swear I know my left and my rights. So this is good. Now the walk it feels like he's floating along a string, and there's no ups and downs. There's not enough ups and downs. And the spacing, let's just get rid of our... So yeah, I love how you are rolling onto the foot. That's really good, except good. Here, you can keep that in the same spot. So it's it shifts a little bit back when it should be, you know, a little bit screen right. And here, I think you can probably get rid of a frame. Now remember when I said get rid of a frame, it's like reduce the timing and then adjust the spacing. So here how the foot is slowing down. Track the ankle. Tell me which frame is out of whack. Can you see that? So delete the frame. I reckon delete this one, frame 122. And this is going to be the same on the other side of the cycle as well. Pacho, here, look at the spacing on our foot. I can't tell which one's the contact frame. I think that is, right? So we're going from here to here to here, and that is slow, but we want that to be faster. So we want to get rid of a frame here, and that is going to be the flip side of whatever pose that was on frame 22. Is it? No. Sorry. It's going to be a similar spot on the other side of the passing position. So it's going to be up. You want to get rid of a frame here, and probably you want to get rid of a frame here. So you've just got too many frames. Take some strategic ones out, and make sure you get the weight of the head down. So as his foot gets planted, you want the weight to come down, right? So each step, the foot has to get there first, and then the weight goes onto it. So that's what I'm not seeing, and that's where your downs come from. And as the weight goes onto it, that hip pushes it up. So that's where you get the twist happening. So yeah, just a few tweaks to that walk cycle. And I Most of the time I want people to do shorter and shorter animations because, like before, you're spreading yourself very thin. The longer the animation is, the harder it is to keep up the quality over the length of that animation. But for this one, I actually told T to go longer. She was ending it there, and it's like, oh no, he needs to, because there's a cycle, you can just repeat the key, so it's not a problem. But yeah, he needed to walk all the way off to make it feel like a nice, complete piece. So he's like, yeah, I'm really happy with my walk. Sorry, with my kick. Watch me walk. Cool. So hopefully that's helped you out. Remember, no matter how many times you submit this T, I'm always here to help you out and give you critiques, because I want to help everyone. If you want to learn, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna push you further to whatever the next level is that you're at. So I think I missed a couple of questions here. I'll try and catch up. Are you adding new features to your camera rig? Yes, eventually. Like that version that I did, which is on GitHub, is just the updated. I fixed all the issues that were there. Like you clicked on something and it came up with an error. So yeah, I changed everything to make it work. And I'm thinking about, I know Omar uses it. So what I want to do is make it so that you actually, if you're moving the camera like lens or anything like that, you're only animating the armature rather than animating the armature and the camera. It makes it a little bit weird. I'm going to try and combine that, but I've got so many things going on that it's not an issue right now. Sorry, it's not at the forefront right now. Okay, I think I missed another question. What is the animation you have done that you are most proud of, and can we see it? I can show you. Yeah, it's on my reel. Let me see. I'm kind of getting away from. I think we're going to go over time, but hopefully everyone's cool with that. So while I'm trying to find something, if there's anyone else who's here and wants a critique, yeah, we'll let it be known in the thing. T, I've saved that for you, so I'll send that for you. Send that to you. So what is my favorite shot that I've animated? So many that I haven't finished. Here it is. This is the shot that I did at animation school, done in Maya, from a guy who doesn't know how to animate in Maya, but this is it.
Steve.
And that was done with Ted T. And the way we did this, because it's kind of working collaboratively with the instructor, is acting it out. Like I acted it out a bunch of times, and he's like, that shot there, because I was actually I wonder if I still got the acting reference of me. I'm actually crying. It's doing really good. Here we go. This is the reference that was shot for it. I'm so young. Look at me. Got old. Bearded man. This is why I like animation as well. You don't have to be stuck to what you are. So this is it here.
Steve.
So yeah, did some acting. Got tears in my eyes, and he's like, you got to get that in there. But what I'd learned from Ted was to be able to analyze all the tiny movements that when you're I got to that was the last workshop that I got to, right? So when I got there, it's like I know everything. I know how to look at a reference. I can see the body mechanics. I know what's going on. And then I took Ted T's class, and it was like, oh my God, there's so much more that I wasn't seeing. And he was showing me. It was like, look, you got some micro movements here. You got this tiny little thing there. And it was really, really great to get stuck into the nitty gritty. And really, after spending however many years learning animation and thinking that I'd mastered something, and then to find out, oh, there is another level above that. It was really exciting. And then also, like there's always the next level. There's always the next level. So that's something I'm quite proud of. Let's answer some questions. I know, York, do you have any tips for animating someone standing still? Someone standing still is really, really hard to animate. So what you do is act it out and look at the body mechanics. So start, even if it's standing. All right, maybe I'll stand up. We're coming to the end. We're running out of time. But if you are standing up, I'll try and do my best. What you want to do is watch for the weight of the hips, right? You can actually, my feet are planted, but I'm moving around quite a lot. Let's make this bigger. So my feet are planted, but I'm moving around quite a lot. So maybe we just lower it so you can see a little bit better. So if you're going to animate someone standing still, it depends on how realistic that you're wanting to be. If you're wanting to be ultra realistic, act out exactly what you're going to do, full body. So here I wouldn't do it because you can't see my feet. But if it's a shot like this, just go from here, right? And you know that your feet are planted. Just act it out and then animate it, starting from the torso. So looking at the torso first, looking to see what happens. Like, okay, I'm twisting, but when I'm doing that weight shift, my chest wants to stay behind, and then it catches up. Watching for those things, exactly like watching in the reference for this one. You're just wanting to look at what's happening in the body, starting from the torso, working out. Okay, hopefully. Just looking at the thing. Oh my gosh, what happened to her? Oh, she was dumped. I don't know whether you can see, but there's a shadow here. She says stay, and then the shadow leaves. That I put that in there not to make it obvious, but it's a subtle thing, and it made you think, oh, what happened? So I can just imagine she's trying to plead to her partner to stay, and then he walks off. You just hear footsteps. So that's what the shot was. Maybe she was teaching her dog. Yeah, that's it. She's trying to teach her dog, and she needed the dog father to come and tell her that she was doing it wrong. All right, question. Like in a car or a table or furniture, how do you make the gaps? Like, for instance, the hood of the car, where the hood opens up to see the engine. How do you model the gaps? Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not a modeler, but if you're working on a project, only model what's going to be seen, right? And make sure that that is set out from the start, so that you don't end up doing extra work that you're not actually needing to do. So I'm not actually a modeler, so maybe if you asked one of the modeling guys, they'll be able to help you out. So question, Wayne, how do you handle micro expressions? They are a lot shorter than the in-between frames, aren't they? No, they're not. When you're filming, you look at what happens. Maybe we'll get this up here. So when you're doing micro expressions and stuff like that, you don't work on them first. So for everyone who has done the body mechanics and workflow course, you work in the same way. So you go planning, blocking, splining, polish, right? And you can tackle each of those things. You tackle each of those things at the right time. So when you're doing a shot like that girl, you start out with the most important thing, the biggest things first. So that is the torso and the head, right? You don't worry about the eyes or the face. You're just getting down the movements first. You're blocking that out, and you're like, right, I've got the timing down exactly. Now that exercise was, he wanted me to do exactly like photo rotoscope as an exercise. Get as close to the real performance as you can, capture as much of the essence as you can. But when you're doing a less realistic animation, you just need to focus on the big things, right? So here is the move that we're doing. You don't need to do all the micro things in it. Just capture that move, right? The feeling of that move. Again, with the feeling. So it's a weight shift this way. Just capture the feeling of that weight shift. You don't have to do each micro. Oh, the shoulder raised up 1 degree and then it went back down and it dragged. Like, you don't need to worry about that. It just needs to look good. When you're doing micro expressions, you do them when it's time to do them. And you've got to, sometimes you need to simplify, where, I know what you're saying, where the micro expression might not land right on the keyframe, but that's when you, as the animator, get to make it better than real life, where, okay, it landed in between these two keyframes. But if I put it on this position, it's going to give this feeling, or it's going to arrive at the same time as another body part or something like that. So maybe we need to break it up and we go the other way. So we decide if we push that keyframe one frame later, it's going to look better, or it's going to make it look like the face is got some flow going on. That's not a good way of explaining it, but there. Hopefully that's helped you out. Now, we are at the end of our time, but I've gone over. Is there anybody else here who needs a critique who's actually here? Because the other ones, I might just record and then post. What do you guys say? There's two ways that we can go about this. I know it's the middle of the night for some people. Thank you for sticking around. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. But if you're not interested in seeing me critique the other ones, I can just go offline and do them, and because I want to help everyone. I'm here to help everyone. Okay, Phil, are there any exercises you reckon on taking after the boot camp? Yes, actually, this was an exercise that I hope to. I'm glad you reminded me. So Phil, you are a champion. Oh, you know why I like Phil? Phil was so smart. He wanted to get better at animation. So I helped him out on here, and he was really, really keen. And he's like, I want to go to animation school. And he did that. But the genius thing was, Phil was like, spoke to his boss at his work, and he got them to pay for his tuition. And for me, I think that is genius. Like, you are a bloody champion, Phil. Like, that is genius. Right, so getting back to what I was talking about, the animation exercise that I want everyone to do, anyone who's interested in it. I've lost my thing. Let's find it again. CG Cookie Streams 2019 animation exercise. So let's have a look at this. So I'm going to jump into the clip editor. Let's drag this in here. Omar posted this oh, you can't see. Omar posted this in the thread, and as an example of awesome animation, and it's really, really great. It's a looping animation. So what I would suggest, everyone who's interested in learning, you can learn yourself by finding some great animation that you're like, oh, how did they do that? I actually did this with, I'm not sure whether you remember the movie Rio, the first one, when the monkeys are in the jungle and they've got all the stolen goods and they're doing that little dance thing. I thought, how did they get those little guys to move around like that? That is amazing. So what I did is I dropped it into a software called Flipbook, or I used Pencil 2D at the time because it was so long ago. Blender couldn't do it, but then I traced over and I made little timing charts and I studied and analyzed it, and that is the best. That's what I suggest everyone try and do if they wanted to get good at up their animation skills. So what are we on here? We're in object mode. Let's select our camera, and so what I want everyone to do is select a piece of animation that is like, holy crap, that is unbelievable. How did they do that? Then drop it into Blender and figure it out. And don't focus on everything at once. All right, let's get my stroke back. Let's go draw. I'm going to go to black and white. Let's go pencil and let's test. No, that's too big. Whoops. Let's go a little bit smaller. I wanted to go smaller and I went bigger. Let's go 5. Let's see if strength 8. Radius 8. Okay, there we go. That will do. So what I want everyone to do is trace over what's happening. So just, maybe bigger. I spent all that time. That will do. All right. So just trace over the body parts and go, how did he do this, right? And then have a look at it. Draw little cross sections of like, here's the middle of my thing and here's my head. You don't need to be. No one's looking at this, so it's all you. Actually, that was a bad drawing there. I want to draw a line there and just look at the spacing, right? And go, oh, okay, here's the next one. And pay attention to each of the body parts. I'm just going to turn off onion skinning for now so you can see what I'm doing. So there is the body. Here is the body. Okay, we're turning now. That's the middle of my gut. Oh, here's a good pose. And notice the flow of it. See how he's got a nice action here. Watch this. Here's the breaking of the joint. Now, every time we do a break of the joint, it doesn't mean, bend the elbow backwards. It just means one body part goes before the other. So watch the elbow. The elbow's going first. We're breaking the joint there. See that? And study it. And we're speeding up. So our spacing has gone from here to here. It's gone like that. Is it still going in an arc? And let's have a look at our hand here. Where is our hand now? We're arcing around. See how we're arcing around on the way there? So do your own little animation studies, and you will be surprised at how much that you learn from other people's work. Cool, let's go back to the questions. Thumb up, my best PowerPoint ever made. I have no idea what that means. Question from Omar and Phil. Actually, no, I just answered the one from Phil. What do people mean when they say weight shift? You mean finding balance? Yeah, weight shift. So let's go back to full screen. So weight shift. Here is a weight shift. We're shifting the weight from my left. It looks at the screen right for you, but my left hip has all the weight, and then we're just shifting it across. My feet are staying still, but my weight is shifting from one leg to the other. Now this happens in everything. So it happens to lift up a leg, you need to have the weight over the other leg. So now my weight is over my left for you. I can lift up my left leg. If my weight is over my right leg, I can't lift up. If I try and lift up my right leg, I fall down, right? So that's what a weight shift is. All right, the best PowerPoint ever made. This one here. I have no idea what you mean. All right, folks, I think I will just record a little critique for the other ones. Let's have a look. Who didn't I get to? Let's go back to the live stream. So Furfur, I did. Furfur, please make sure that you update your work. That'll be good. Kenny, I know Kenny's probably watching, but here's another one. Kenny's trying really super hard, and he's using Maya, which is fine. But I think I want to bestow people some more advice, words of wisdom from Wayne before we sign off, and that is, I think it's really important to learn things in the correct order to learn them. So when people start animation, they get super excited. They're like, wow, I want to make things move, and they don't realize how hard animation is. Animation is really hard, and we get the illusion that it's easy because it's really easy to watch. All you need to do is look and you're watching it. But to do it, it takes so much work and it takes so much effort and skill. You need to build up your skill. So I think about it as laying down a foundation of piling up a whole bunch of papers, right? So when we're learning animation, we're piling a bunch of papers down, and every day that we don't do animation, or every day in general, the wind comes and it blows some of the papers off on the top, right? And if we learn at a slow and steady pace, we can make sure that our tower of papers is nice and neat, right? And it's a very strong foundation. But if we go too fast and we just pile stuff on, then our pile of papers is all jagged and it's rocky. You might get up to here and it tips over. And because every day the wind blows some off, it might just topple over your whole entire tower. So I think about it as slow and steady wins the race. So when you start learning, everyone wants to go and do those crazy animated fight scenes and stuff like that. But you need to focus on the really simple stuff first, because everything is a bouncing ball. So start out with the animation bootcamp and just focus on only what is in the exercise. The other stuff comes later. You're adding those layers of paper to make a really high mountain of paper, and everyone goes, look at my animation tower, right? But if you're going too fast, you're not going to build yourself a strong foundation. Now, Kenny is one of those people who is super keen, but he's going way too fast and he's missing stuff, and so he's putting his piles all crooked, and he's not understanding fully what he needs to understand. It was like when I applied for animation school, I thought I was at this level. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do acting shots. I've done the bouncing ball. I've done all that. And then I submitted my work, And the instructor or the leader, the director of the school was like, actually, you belong in the beginners class. And it was like, what? I don't understand why. I've tried so hard. I've read Richard Williams' book, and I've tried everything. And it was, now that I look back, I'm very grateful that he did that, because my foundation wasn't right. All my papers were crooked, and I didn't actually understand what I was doing. So when I went back and I focused on those simple exercises, it was like, oh my God. It was like I had that crooked tower, and me and my instructors just went up and we straightened everything. And it was like, I get it now. I fully understand. So people like Kenny, I will give you, hopefully he's probably not going to watch this thing, but I'll give him a special critique, because he's wanting to jump to, he's wanting to jump too far. So here is his whoops, that's the wrong one. Here is his little walk cycle. Here's an example of when you don't need sound. So we just turn the sound down. So here's the walk cycle. And there's a lot of stuff about the spacing and you know the foot slipping on the ground and stuff like that, where you're just jumping too far. So you need to go back and straighten up that mountain. So I want him to actually go back and look at his pendulum. All right, here is the pendulum, and here is a simple assignment. When you go, okay, a beginner might look at this and go, oh, that's all right. That's looking pretty good. But if we slow it down, I won't give it the full critique now. Just paying attention to what's happening here, like the spacing. It starts too quick, and then it gets here and it bounces off. And here, our antenna goes from this is correct, and then it pops up. Why is it moving in that direction? It's just moving in the wrong direction, and then it takes way too many frames to change direction, because it should be following. It's the foundation. Like, you need to have a good strong foundation, and what I want to do for Kenny is straighten up that pile, so then he can get back to this walk cycle and go, I understand it now, and everything's going to make a lot more sense. All right, folks. Well, if there are no, please critique my eye. Okay, one last one. Para's critique. Sorry, not Para's. No, this is the wrong one. Anyone who wasn't here, I will critique separately. So this is the one I think I want you want me to critique. Is that right? So here is the eye moving around. There's no sound on this one. Okay, well, I don't get it, to tell you the truth. Like, I don't really know what you want me to critique about it, but I'm seeing, you know, the eyes are moving around. If we're looking at this eye, this pupil, I can't draw on this. Maybe I'll drag it in. You know what? I will drag it in. Here's a critique. Let's drag it into our clip editor. Final one. What I could say is, I think you're working on rotation, which is pretty difficult, because you're understanding rotation. Hopefully you're on XYZ Euler. Understanding rotation is a little bit difficult. Okay, where are we? Let's just have a look at one of these eyeballs. Okay, what I want you to do is just focus on one. Yeah, let's draw. So figure out the spacing. So here is our spacing, here is our spacing, here is our spacing. Is that the one that moves around? It's like each change in direction where are we going? Each change in direction, I think you can smooth them out. Boing, boing, boing. There's one really crazy one. Where is it? There's not really much to say, man. I don't understand what the point is. They are good at finding gold and lost objects. All right, cool. So what I would suggest is, if you're having fun you're doing everything right. So you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, each to their own. If you're enjoying what you're doing, then you are doing everything right. The thing that I notice most is actually the Z fighting, which is where you've got the where they intersect. Everything is fighting there. So what I would do, I don't know how the textures work or anything like that. Just make sure that they're not in exactly the same 3D space. You can just shift one slightly above the other, and then you won't get that Z fighting there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? It's just an eyeball. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. We're all looking at you, but not really looking at you. I think I went to school with a guy who had eyes like that. But anyway, folks, I think we're going to call it quits for today. Everyone who I haven't done a critique for, I will record that separately and post it up to you guys however we want, however it's possible. So before we sign off, I would like to say thank you for everyone who has joined in. Make sure that you post your work, and if you ever want me to look at something on the site, please feel free to mention me, so @Waylow, WAYLOW, and I will be sure to have a look at it. If you're doing the animation courses, post your work is the way to get better. So I will look at it and I'll try and push you to the next level, whatever level that is at. All right, thank you very much, folks. I've had a lot of fun. We'll do these again in the future. And yeah, sorry I didn't get to everyone. But yeah, peace out, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Thanks for sticking out there. Hey Remington, it is Wayne here, mate. Sorry I didn't get a chance to look at your work during the live stream today, but I thought I would give you a personal critique because you've done a really great and fun animation here. So yeah, I want to help you out. First of all, let's have a look at your comments. So here's the character I designed and animated. Looks great, mate. Would love your feedback on the animation. Your animations are basically tutorial, helped me a lot on the F curves. You're welcome. The second link I posted has a flip, and I'm curious as to how you would handle the flip. I tried a similar thing to your box flipping across the ground, but it still doesn't feel right to me. I think that was Chris McFall's box flipping across the ground, but not mine, but that's okay. Let's have a look. I think it's really cool, man. I think this is really cool. So cute. So cute. I love the stop motion feel of it, and I love, the plasticine thing, and I can see that you've got some textures animated on it, so it makes it look like the fingerprints. Really good. So how would I improve this? I would have a look at the popping of our if he's a volcano, I'm not really sure. So when he pops from here, I'm just going to draw. Let's get this happening. I'm on my lines layer. So let's just do a slight outline of our character with his little feet. Yeah, so there's our character and our bubbles, right? Here, we want it to kind of bend back. This is okay, all this stuff. This is all good, but can you bend the this part back to where it came from so it doesn't pop so big, right? And then you can slow into that side, so then the next frame can be a little bit further, like maybe the next frame could be over there. So it's just taking longer to get over there. And with your little volcano stuff, make sure that follows where it came from, all right? So it's going this way, then that way, and then it can maybe catch up. So it's like that, and then this frame, bend it back this way because you've got the follow through. So that's what I would do, Pachal. And then also, when you're going the other way, just bend it back slightly. Always think, if you're like, how do I do the follow through and overlap? It's like, when in doubt, bend it back towards where it came from and see whether it looks better. If not, try the other way. But that's what I would do for that walk cycle. I do love the bounce. Boing, 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 boing. It's so cute, man. So yeah, just that flipping is just way too big there. Okay, let's have a look at the other animation. I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to draw on this layer, and I'm going to select my camera. So good. There's no sound on when I'm doing it here, but yeah, it's really good. So again, it's just a little bit of follow through and overlap on this guy. So bend stuff back to towards where it came from. So this is, yeah, see how he's popping forward? Bend this little, whatever it is, I don't know, volcano bit back towards where it came from. Let's go pencil. So rather than that, and then go to there on that frame. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Again, bend that back towards where it came from. You get the idea. Now when you're doing, I don't know if you can do squash and stretch on this guy. It'd be nice to squash him on this frame. All right, so yeah, just kind of, and keep the volume. So this frame is the frame before. Squash him, and then as he's trying to take off, stretch him back up again. Yeah, I'd see what that looks like. I don't know whether it'll kill the idea that you've got going on. Yeah, you've got a little bit of overlap on the thing on his head here, but it's not happening the right way. So drag it from where it came from and then follow through. So go past where you want to go. So it should go, I'll do it sideways. Drag, follow through like that. Drag, follow through. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, same with that one there. And then the flip. You're worried about the flip. What I would do, see how he's stopped in the same spot? Again, I would try keep him moving up, higher, all right, higher, and then squash him down like a bouncing ball, but a cartoony bouncing ball. So this frame here, see what would happen if you can stretch him this way, right? And then you have to change the timing, but then splat him down, right? So then, and then return to normal. So bouncing back. So hopefully that makes sense. So and then pause, which is good. Now, before he pops up, this is a good frame. I like it. I like the pose, and I even like the papa. So let me just mark this one. On this frame, at least, you want to go lower. So squash him down here. Not that's way too much. But if this is, I'm going to draw 2 frames before, right? Now, he might move on 1 frame, he might move over 2 frames, he might move more. You got to judge on what it's going to be. So this is his held position, right, after he's settled. Now, before he goes big and pops up into the air, go into the opposite direction, which will be here. So this is the frame. Let me just duplicate it. And then I'm just going to squash this guy. So let me, let's grab it, F. Really crude, but hopefully you can see. So this gives you, it's probably a bit much there. but it gives the audience an anticipation before it happens, and it's going to make it pop a little bit more. And I like the hold a lot. He should also come down. He should come down a little bit sooner though. So I like how he's floating in the air, but then he should come down like a bouncing ball. So, and don't turn him in the air. Let him come down facing the camera, but if you want him to turn, he needs to land and then twist, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's really, really cute. I love it. He's so cute. Yay! So cute, man. So cute. Well done. Hopefully that helps you out, makes you improve on your own work, but good work. Hey Kenny, Wayne here, mate. I didn't get a chance to critique your work during the live stream today. I know that you were at work, so I thought I'd take my own time to do it afterwards, because I believe in you, man. I believe in you. So you've asked me to critique these two walk cycles before you move on to the body mechanics course. And looking at this, there's there's still some work to do on the basics and the foundations before moving on. Like in the live stream, I explained it as when you're learning to animate, you're building a tower of papers, like a ream of like A4 sheets of paper, and you need to go at the right pace, because if you try and go too quickly, it's like you're flapping down these papers and they're all jagged and crooked. And every day that we don't animate, or actually every day, it's like the wind comes and blows some papers off the top. And if we have a really strong foundation where everything's nice and tight, less gets blown off the top of the pile. Of course, if you're slapping it down too fast, then the wind comes along and blows it off, and you actually haven't learnt a lot. There's a lot that you don't understand because your foundation wasn't solid and everything's fallen over. And you're animating, you're making stuff move, but you're not really understanding the reasons behind it, why it looks good, why it looks bad. So for you, looking at these walk cycles, I'll give you some critiques, but I want you to go back to the other one, which I'll explain later on. So let's have a look at these walk cycles. So everything you should be aiming to move things in an arc, and I can see you're using IK for the arms, which is fine. So you've got your IK here, but just have a look at what's the path of these wrists. So just track them. So that kind of goes like this, right? And we want to avoid that. We want the arm to be nice and smooth. And there's actually on the torso, you're just walking straight ahead like this. Like there's no there's no movement of the hips side to side, and there's no rocking on that. So that's why it's probably better to work on the stomp character, just the legs, which I'll go over in a minute, because once you've got that down, right, it becomes a lot easier, because it's my son in the background there. Right, so we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's better to work on everything from the torso down first, which is actually the stomp. Once you get the stomp walk working, all you need to do is add the top half of the character on top of that. And it's, as I said, it's the rotating, and it's actually moving the arms in a arc rather than in a straight lines like the IK gives you. So with just speaking about the hips and down, like we need to make sure that everything's happening at the right time. At the moment, if we look at our hips, like our hips are going down low. Yeah, it's not connected, right? So like this, actually I think either side of the cycle isn't the same. So the downs on the left step and the down on the right step is not actually the same, because this one is quite low. Let's go, I'm just mark the hips there. Oh no, it's the same, but it's not, it's the same height, but the spacing must be different. Let's have a look at it from the front. Okay, let's play this. Yep, can you see? Whoop. I will just end it there. Okay, so let's go front view. Can you see how, maybe here. So I don't know what frame we've got, 439 to 440. So 439 to 440. There's a pop down, and then it pops back up. And then this side, this step is much smoother. So do you see how it's not even on each side? And this doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. All right, so we need to make sure that our curves are even. And then also, there's actually no weight shift. Like, yeah, he's leaning over, but it's not kind of making sense. So what I think is pause on this one and go earlier to get that foundation correct. And then this one's going to be so much easier. So let's go back to, that's that one. Let's do this one. And what I want to do is go to the camera again, go to object mode, and then change the other one. Here is your stomp walk cycle, right? So same deal here. We want this to be, let's go draw mode. We don't want our feet to be sliding. We want our feet to stick on the ground, right? This foot has the weight on it, so I can't move forward. Has to stick on the ground. But you can see it's flopping all over the place. See how it's just sliding, 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 sliding. And this, yeah. So once this hits the ground there, it needs to stick in the same spot. And then lift off. Also, you want that to be twisting. So his head is actually his hips, right? So you want to be twisting towards the foot that's coming down. And then once it takes the weight, that side, so say if I'm stepping on my right foot, that side is going to push up, just like in the video that I did. So this hip here, he's about to take the weight. It's going to push up, right? Push it up. So we're going to rotate the whole head. And also, what I'm saying is, this is his right foot. It's going to twist around that way, so that the whole thing, if you're looking at the top, he's going to twist that side, and then when he steps on the other side, it's going to twist towards that way. Hopefully that makes sense. But the biggest thing is, I can see that it's an in-place walk where you're just translating the root forward, but his feet are sliding all over the ground. So what I suggest for this one is we go back even further. So let's just add a new layer. Let's move this one down, and I want to focus on, let's hide that one. Yep, hidden. Let's go camera, and let's go object mode, and change this one to be, whoops, a daisy. Is this what we got? Yes. Here is where I think you're at. So what I want you to do is go back to this one and then move forward from here, because there's a lot of lessons to learn in this one here. So I'll go stroke. What color should I do this one in? Let's do it in green. So going back to the start here, I think I've already given you notes on this one, but we want to make this platform pause for, actually let's do pencil. We want to make this platform pause for at least, maybe 8 to 10 frames. Hold it before it even starts. So you can see here, I just draw that one there. So the spacing just starts really big. So I just draw a timing chart. It's like It's going from here to here, right? How does it get there? So we want to hold in this position, and then we want to speed up. So we need to speed up. So the spacing should be like slow, getting bigger, and then slowing down, and then coming back the other way. You know, so see here, we're just hitting a wall and bouncing off, and then we're hitting a wall over here. Let's just remove that. Bang, we're hitting an imaginary wall and bouncing off. So when we get to these positions, we want to really, every change of direction, you want to slow out. So we want to go nice and slow out. Actually, what the graph editor would look like. Imagine, okay, this is the x-axis, right? So your x curve will look like this. It'll look like that. That is the extreme. So this part here is going to slow in and out nicely. This part here is going to slow in and out nicely, and then we come to a little bit of a settle. At the moment, your curve will look like this. Too sharp here, too sharp here. Make sense? So grab your handles, pull them out, make it nice and round here. Okay, then let's have a look at the actual tail, the pendulum. You do have a lot of, you've got some nice things going on here. Just going to shrink this down. So here, so we don't want it to, this isn't powered by anything. It's just total follow through and overlap. So we can't go past, see how it's jumping backwards here? Let's turn on our onion skinning. So we want to turn off that onion skin. Yeah, so here is our start, here is our second part, and here's our third frame. So what we're actually doing, I'll just draw it over here, is we are going up and then popping up like that. But no, we shouldn't. We should be nice and smooth. So this should be straight, and this should be a little bit bent, and then this should be, it can't be further past there. Oops, so it's probably going to be like that, right? And then when it changes direction, it's going to start going the opposite direction. So this is going to, because it was heading that way, it's now going this way. These are going to start bending back this way, but it takes way too long. See, it actually reverses when it's all the way over here. So it just needs to happen faster, but this is going to change after you do your, after you change your platform here. So this is what I want you to focus on now. Just do the platform first, and then get the follow through correct. So it can't go past where it came from, right? Everything should be, start at the top and work your way down, but like this should point back to where it came from, back to where it came from. Like, and then, yeah, start it from there. Hopefully that's been clear. Yeah, sorry I couldn't talk about it in the live stream, but yeah, I think you're really keen, but go back to these ones and you'll do a lot better. You'll surprise yourself. You'll be like, everything starts to make sense now. Everything's falling into place. All right, cool. So good luck. Hit me up on the site. Just mention me if you need any more help. Cool. Hey Nakage, it is Wayne here, mate. Sorry I couldn't get to your critique in the live stream, but what I'm going to do is record it live for you now. So let's have a look at the two animations that you have done. I'll just bring up the comment. So you're like, I haven't practiced as much as I should. Shame on you. But I struggle making the characters feel alive. What things you do to make your character feel alive? Here are some links to the animation I've done outside the courses with the Bonbot rigs. First of all, well done on doing your own stuff with these rigs. That's why we made them, so that you can animate and practice. So let's have a look at these two ones here. So I'll just play it. So I can't remember if you have done the body mechanics course or not, but how do you make it feel alive? This is an excellent question. the first step is to look at reference, to actually look what's happening in the real world. So, and then we base our animation on that. We can either, like rotoscope isn't the correct word for it, but we can borrow those poses and those the timing, etc., and actually what's happening from our real life reference, and then we apply that to our character, and you'll be able to see, lots of things are happening here that we wouldn't think about to animate just off the top of our heads, which is why we look at animation. Which is why we look at video reference. So I'm just going to zoom in here and just start doing some drawings. So the thing that I notice the most is just the poses. So this looks like blocking, which is fine, but it is in spline. So it's splocking, which is a weird word, but that's what it is. So this pose here at the start, it doesn't feel very natural. Like, I don't know who waves or kind of like this. So I think this foot needs to be back a little bit, so that we've got his leg a little bit like that, rather than all the way out there, and that's going to help make the pose feel more natural. But make sure you film reference. So this is what you want to do. This is the action that you want to do. So just get in your backyard or your garage and film it to see what happens, and then pick your favorite pose. So your favorite take of that. Okay, the next thing is, I see it's really hard to know with your splocking. It's really hard to know what are the keyframes that you've put in there and what the computer has given you. So at this stage here, it just looks really, really messy. So this foot is just moving by itself. I'll just clean that up. Turn off my onion skinning for the moment. So this leg is just dragging across there, it's going across in the air and then down without any spacing. Then when we're jumping, so frame 38, we are just lifting up. Here is our character and our feet, right? This is our character, and we go to this pose here. But what are the body mechanics that got in there? So he's going from the ground to the air. So I'm trying to jump now without doing any type of squash or anticipation beforehand. All right, I'm trying to jump. I can't. But if I crouch and then come up, I can jump. So this is what you're missing here. You've got to go down, but the part that's missing is the push off. So your feet are just jumping up in the air without pushing off first. So you need to show how he's getting into the air. So show the push off, which will be something like around here, right? Get these feet back on the ground. And then work on the timing as well. So and then he's jumping. And I want you to look at what's happening with the spacing here. Look at your arm. This arm is going from here to here to here to here to, I'm guessing, there. So first of all, where is it the fastest and where is it the slowest? If you're trying to punch something, when you're pulling back, you're going to, and then start going forward, it's going to start slow and speed up. But what you're doing is you're starting fast and slowing down before the punch. So just make sure, look at that spacing all the way over there to there. That is a huge pachow. And then you're instantly slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. So that's what's wrong there. And it looks like he's actually headbutting it rather than punching it, because he's not extending. He's extending his arm back, but he's not extending his arm forward. So yeah, again, reference. Look at some video reference and then study it, and you'll be able to pick out the poses and go, aha, I know what's happening. So that's what is happening in that in that animation, just make sure you also key all your in-betweens. At the moment, as I said, it's really hard to tell what you've animated and what the computer has given us. So maybe go back to the body mechanics course and watch the bit about workflow so that you can see, we're looking at our keyframes. Put our keyframes in there first, figure out our timing, and then go back and do our in-betweens and all the more important poses. So start with the most important stuff down to the less important stuff. So that's going to help you out in that one. Now in the other one, let's have a look at the color lines here. Object mode, camera, and Pachal. So with this one, let's just play this guy. Yeah, again, you're just missing a few poses. So here, how are you getting from the ground into the air, right? So here is, actually, let's undo that. Let's go into my stroke and draw. So I want to draw this layer in a different color. Let's draw this one in blue. Okay, so we've got our squash here, and then we want our hips to accelerate, right? But our feet need to push off on the ground. So we want to show our feet on the ground, maybe here, keep them on the ground so that we've got our stretch happening, which shows our push off, right? And then have a look at this arc. I bet if you, I'll draw it kind of offset, but it goes up. Actually, it goes up, across, and then kind of diagonal like that. So I'm trying to draw the hips, but offset. Just track those hips. They are not traveling in an arc. Again, when we land, we want to be landing in the stretched position. So we want our feet to land first, but it'll kind of be more up like this, right? We want our feet to land, and then we want to squash down like this. So that's going to help you out. Now, if you can, what you can do, I don't know if you can rig this or not, but what I would do is try and rig it and have the spacing go, see how it's here and then it's here. We want this spacing to be fast. We want it to get to the ground in 1, maybe 2 frames, all right? So this is taking too long. 1, 2, 3. 3 frames to get to the ground is way too long. I would go for 1 frame, but before you get there, say this is the contact frame, right? Bend it, all right? And keep stomp on the ground. Squash him down because we want to anticipate before we go up, and then stretch it up. Stretch him big, right? Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so ignore this part here. So that's what I would try and do. And one thing that I saw in my mind when I played this is I expected him to either at the end look up. So he's kind of looking to where he's coming from, where he went, or he starts to walk off, and then the thing hits him in the butt, and he flies off, or something like that. That would be kind of fun. Yeah, so that's it. They're the 2 animations. Hopefully you got something out of this. Sorry, I didn't get to it in the time, but keep doing what you're doing. You're awesome. Thanks, man. Hey Mark, Wayne here, mate. Sorry I didn't get to review your work during the live stream today, but I thought I would give you a short video and do it, record it live anyway. All right, so I've already got this set up inside Blender, and we are looking at your notes here, which is this the first animation that you tried doing the 2D stick figure animation exercise. Well done. It's good to see that you are doing your own interpretation on things. That's great. I think it's a really good way to learn. So the story is in progress with crude drawings and a lot of in-betweens and missing, but let's have a look at it. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, I kind of like your stick figures, man. They got a certain charm to it. The one thing that the one thing I don't know whether you're going to add sound to it or anything like that, but it looks, the unfinished parts, to me it seems like it could be a loop. So you know how we start at the start, there's a I'm assuming this is a man, and we've got the woman over here. The woman catches the baby, puts it down, she passes away, then he becomes old. I don't know where the son, I don't know why he goes away and comes back. That bit's unclear to me, whether he is forgetting, like being a bad parent because he's focusing on himself and his own pain rather than taking care of the child, and then he comes back big. So maybe we could actually see him transform on the screen into the big person. And then he dies. Oh, sad. So here, maybe he could be sad, right? And then a woman comes along. I'm assuming it's a woman. And then we're back at the start, where then the woman, blah, blah. So you get what I'm saying? So it's a looping thing. So yeah, maybe that's an idea for the story. I can't critique you too much on the actual animation, because I know that this is obviously work in progress. It's not final or anything like that, but I can see a few things. I think when we are blocking stuff out, I'm going to get a little bit I don't know the correct word, but we've got our keyframes here, right? So imagine that we're holding a keyframe. Actually, let's just change our pen. Let's go black pencil. All right, so holding a keyframe, and then this is the same keyframe, and then here is a changed keyframe, right? When we're blocking things out and we're working in a stepped mode, which is what happens with when you draw in grease pencil or whatever, it's going to display that until the next frame comes along, right? So it's a hold. What we need to do is copy the same pose for as long as we want to hold. Right, so say if we want to hold from here to here, we want to copy it at the start position and at the end position. Even if that end position is going to change, only because it looks like everything's happening in fast forward. And this, I think, will help you block out your timing. So rather than thinking about it as this is my beat here is my second beat, here is my third beat, we want to have, here's the start of my beat, and here is the start of the end of that beat. So we wanted to hold it really long. Now, this won't make a lot of sense in 2D animation, but when you work in 3D and you're holding that, it's going to make perfect sense, because we are holding in the same position all the way to here. So say, let's pick some arbitrary numbers. This is frame 1 and this is frame 100, right? And we want, oh, actually that's too high. Let's say it's frame 20, right? So we want the same position to be held for 19 frames. And then we want a new pose to happen on frame 24. So then we got 4 frames of transition, right? Hold, transition, new pose. In 3D, we want to position this keyframe here, otherwise it's going to go and we get all these changes here. So it might help you in your time, it might not, this is just an idea, but if you're drawing in grease pencil, put your pose here, which is your drawing, and then put a duplicate of that pose on here, right? Even though it might change or whatever, just to help block out your timing so that you can get an idea of, okay, this beat is going to happen for this length of time. Because if I watch this, it's all just Actually, that beat's nice, but all this stuff, it's too fast. Everything's happening too fast. It needs to be. You want to work on your timing first. I'll watch it again. That might help, or it might not. I think in the transitions you can also take more time. So by transition I mean he's angry, and then all of a sudden, pacha, he's become an old man. I would take a lot longer for that to happen. So double, triple, maybe even quadruple the amount of time that happens. So it becomes a bigger beat. And that's what I'm talking about with like holding it in those transitions. It's the timing of which beats should be longer. So I think that should be longer. And yeah, only one other note that I've got here. Two more notes for you. Two more notes. The spacing for our baby. If we're falling, all right, we want the spacing should always speed up. So it should go, pacha, 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 speeding up. But if we look at our spacing, we got here, we're slowing down, and then we speed up again. So it's just a little bit of a spacing issue. We can work on that. It's rough, but that's one of the comments that I have. The final one is this bit here isn't clear that she is sick and dying. So I think you need some more drawings there, or to make it obvious, and he needs to kind of react. And when you've got many characters on the screen, you need to direct the audience as to where they should be looking. So the way we do that is we can make them pose like, oh no, what's wrong? Make him like more aware, direct his attention towards her, and also only have one person doing a big movement at a time. So if she's dying, the other guy is not moving very much, so the audience is going to look at what's moving more. But yeah, just that death part there, it's not clear. I think you can make a bigger beat of that. But yeah, anyway, they're the thoughts that I have for you. Yeah, I really like your drawings. It's got a lot of charm, and it's a nice little story, even though it's very sad. But hopefully it's not from personal experience. Fingers crossed it's not. But cool. Hopefully this helped you out. I'll see you in the future. G'day Para, it's Wayne Dixon here. Sorry I didn't get a chance to look at your work during the live stream today, but I thought I would do a personal video for you, critiquing your work, and yeah, hopefully that'll help you out. But let's have a look at your comment here. Hi Wayne, hello. Here's a short animation I made in response to the Amazon fires. I know, isn't that terrible? My first big project besides tutorials, including your treasure chest. Oh, cool. Have I seen your treasure chest? I'd like to see it if I haven't. After starting to learn Blender only a few months ago. Cool. Well done. Congratulations and welcome to your journey of learning. I'm curious about this method to keep the tree's arm bone attached to the bendy bone, and the squash and stretch pulls the mesh away from the arm bone. I'm not entirely sure. I think I know what you're talking about, but let's see. Let's see what we're talking. Yeah, when we get there. Okay, so I'm looking at your animation. So it's obviously about the steak. So I think it has a certain beginner's charm to it. I think it's really good like that. One thing that can benefit you is a couple of the camera transitions. So often beginners will move the camera, and the camera is very jerky and it moves in a very linear way. And in the live stream I spoke about the add-on that will help you out. His head turns around, that's funny. And he's eating meat while everything is burning. Okay, so this is a big project. Well done on getting it all done. When you're learning, I don't want to discourage you, because everyone's going to start at a certain level. but don't try and improve everything at once. Just pick one area to improve on, and then that's what you focus on, and try and improve that. So one thing you could do, which actually moving forward will be helpful, is to use a camera rig. Now, included in Blender is the Add Camera Rigs add-on, which I coded. So if you go to your add-ons, so that I just went to the preferences, go to the add-ons and go Add Camera Rig, you'll see this guy here. This is the one that I coded with some other people. And let's just close this down. What does it do? Well, when we're in object mode, we can go Shift A, add a camera. And let's have a look at the dolly camera rig. When we're animating, we can then animate our camera moves using these controls, and it makes it a lot easier to get smooth transitions, especially when the camera goes, when it rotates or when it moves from one position to the next. So if you're looking at, I don't know how advanced you are in the animation courses, but when you are advancing, when you get to the graph editor bits, the thing that I want you to pay attention to is, where we go, object mode, let's draw. Imagine we're in the graph editor, right? Let's, when we do a transition, so our camera is being held, and then it's changing to a new position. Let's just say this is the X location or whatever. This curve here is really, really linear and straight, which gives you even changes, right? But if you just edit it so that our curve looks like that, so I'll draw it like that, you've got a nice smooth transition here, and that's going to get rid of this like even spacing, and it's going to make your transitions a lot better. So that's one thing that I would suggest that you start on first, because that's going to help everything. So let's get back to where I was at, Paracred. So yeah, just focus on one thing. I think, yeah, these dudes are really funny, man. They're really funny. The bendy bone. So I think it's this that you're having issues with. So I think you've got a bendy bone in this thing here. Let me know if I'm right. So I think you have a bendy bone, right? That's meant to be a bendy bone. And you've got your arms stuck on there, right? And they're bones like that. And when you bend it like this, they don't stay connected to that when you twist and you turn and whatever, and you have to manually update it. Well, there's a way that you can actually do that in Blender. There's a new feature in 2.8. It's actually called the armature constraint. Let's see, what's the easiest way? I might just draw it for you, right? Let's just draw it in a different program so it makes it a little bit easier. So here's your bendy bone. This is the one that does all the crazy bending, and this is your arm bone. I'm just going to draw it like that. So what you do is you add an armature constraint. Constraint to this one, and you remove the parent. Right? If this is, it can't be parented to this guy. If it's parented to that guy, you get double transformations. So when this one stretches around and does all crazy things, so say if we do a bending like that, what happens is this, with the armature constraint, will warp with it. It will follow these, it will follow the bend of our control here. So there we go, armature constraint, and then make sure that this isn't parented to anything except if you have a root control in your rig. So this is our root control here. It can be parented to the root control. Parent to the root control. Parent to the root control. Right? It cannot be parented to that guy. So let me just show you back in Blender what that is. Let's go File. Let me just Do I need to save that for you? Maybe. Yeah, I'll just save it and I'll let you download it in case you want. So let's go File, New, and let's delete everything and jump into the front. So imagine that this is your armature. I'm going to jump into edit mode. This is our bendy bone, right? I'm going to change the way that it is displayed. So let's go viewport display B bone. Let's just also, not a bone, bendy bones, to connect our segments, right? This is our deformation bone, and let's call this one our arm bone, right? So this is the tree trunk, and this is our arm bone. Right, so at the moment you can tell that this bone is not parented to anything, although if it did have a root bone in the armature parented to that. And let's use an armature constraint, right? So let's go into pose mode. We want to, you can't automatically add the target to this one, but all the other constraints you can. So let's go constraints and let's go armature constraint. This is a new one here. And then we need to add the target bone and select the name of our armature. In this file, it's just called armature. And then the bone, it is trunk. So now that has added the constraints to it. So if we do say, let's twist this bone. So let's go roll out. Aha, you see that? It stays with it. And let's just do scale in, scale out. This all, so that's what that constraint does. Except if we accidentally parent it, I'll show you what happens. So let's select this, and then that one, Control P, Control P, select offset, and then I might need to scale this one. See how you get, if I scale this, see how it gets doubly big? That's because it's getting double transformation. It's taking the transformation from the constraint and it's taking the transformation from the parent and it's adding them together, and you've got crazy deformations here. But if we go back into edit mode and delete our parent, then jump back into pose mode, you'll see when we scale this, aha, it's working correctly. So let's just remove that. So yeah, obviously this is a crude example because you'd add some controls to be able to do the bending and stuff that I said, but that's, maybe this is helpful for you. I'm just going to file, save as, armature constraint. There you go. Hopefully that's helped you out. Keep doing what you're doing, and remember, don't try and take on too much learning at once. Just focus on one thing. So keep making your projects and stuff, but just focus on improving one area at a time, and you will get to where you want to get to. Cool. Peace out.